my topic. This may be the last generation for Nintendo's biggest legends. Nintendo's an old company, but they're also one that's maintained a lot of loyalty among their top creative minds since the very beginning. And a lot of those creative minds are either at retirement age or will be during the Nintendo Switch 2 generation, if we presume Switch 2 is the main system for the next 8 years. And we might be having some new talent take over. But I think it's an interesting topic because the first person I want to mention is Shigeru Miyamoto, often called the godfather of gaming. He's the creator of Mario, the creator of Zelda, and is the man who's always put fun before everything else. And has always, it's like that quote you pulled up earlier, Stash. This is just a very special person, and for a lot of people, he's kind of the face of Nintendo. It's usually the first name you think of when you think of Nintendo. He Pikmin, father of Pikmin, and like some of the unique stories he's had to tell of where he's gotten the ideas for his games. So my thoughts are, or my question is for you guys is, as a Nintendo fan, what does Miyamoto or his legacy and contributions to the company mean to you guys? What do you think of when you think of Shigeru Miyamoto? Additionally, what do you think of Nintendo, given that he's 72 years old? If the Switch 2 is going to be an 8-year gen like the Switch 1 was, that's 80 years old. It's very likely Miyamoto will be done by then or before then. What does Nintendo look like without the man, the myth, and the legend? And then I want to add in a second part to that. Eiji Aonuma, he took over for Miyamoto with Majora's Mask as director and producer of the Legend of Zelda series. He's created and taken Zelda from being a very popular Nintendo franchise to one of the biggest games in the last generation, if not the last few generations, with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But he's 61. He'll be around 70 by the time Switch 2 is done. He might be ready or close to ready to pass on the torch. And as Zelda fans, I know, Eric, you're a rebel and an outsider on the Zelda side, but still, what he's brought to the table, what he means to you as a Nintendo fan, and what you think the series more specifically looks like without Aonuma. Do you think it will be a good hands? How do you think it will change? Let's start with Miyamoto, though. What do you guys think? Jump in, who's ever ready.
I immediately think like Mario and Zelda when I hear Miyamoto. And he is, like you said, when you think of Nintendo, like that is one of the first names that comes to mind. I think that them passing on the torch, I feel like Nintendo is, out of all of the companies, they're the ones that's going to make sure that their games don't lose their fun and like how they make us feel, if that makes sense. Especially like with how even it went from Miyamoto to Aonuma and what Aonuma has done. And then these past 3 Zelda games with Fujibayashi being on board and what he's helped accomplish too. I really don't, like, I'm not afraid of what's to come. I don't want them to ever leave because they make such great things that I love. But I do think that they oversee and their influence on the next generation is like heavily impacted.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I kind of have this vision of Miyamoto like retiring from Nintendo, but being that guy who still like randomly shows up at the office into his like last days. Like, what, dude, what are you doing here? You retired, go home. And he's just like, I want to make sure the games are still fun. And, just like super old and just, still at it. He's got the little Pikmin in his pocket and stuff. But what about you, Stash? What do you think and feel when it comes to Miyamoto, at least?
Yeah, you mentioned Godfather of Gaming. I completely agree. I remember even being like in middle school. So I'm talking like 90, 96, 97, 98, and reading interviews from Miyamoto in Nintendo Power and just like
Mhm.
looking up to this guy. And, bear in mind, I'm like 11, 12 years old at that time. And so to be from that age to almost 40 years old here, I've followed like this man's career from a very young age. I experienced everything he's created
Right.
really from nearly the beginning. Uh, I was born in 85, so I clearly I was not playing video games in 1985, but I was in 88. Uh, my I learned how to play video games at a very young age with two older brothers
Mhm.
and watching them play. And so I've experienced it all. But as far as like following this guy's career and like reading interviews with him, that started at like 11 or 12 years old. So part
Mhm.
of me is a big part of me is very sad just
Yeah.
because it's just it's time, right? It catches up to all of us. Nothing's eternal here. And so I just kind of look at it that way, like, man, I'm gonna miss him, obviously, when he's gone. And I know he's getting up there. It's I try not to think about age, right? Because again, I'm getting up there. And so
Yeah.
I just try not to like think about the number, even subconsciously. If it comes up, I try to like cut that thought off because I just don't want to think about that. But I know it's coming, right? I know that sooner or later, yes, he's gonna have to retire. For me, I kind of think Miyamoto will be there like literally to the end.
Yeah, Miyamoto the Immortal. That's what I call him.
I mean, I think he's going to be there. He's going to be into his 80s and still working at Nintendo.
Yeah.
I really do. And I know everyone's concerned about him getting older and how many more years he has left, but this is his love. This is
Yeah.
his passion. This is not work. This is not work for him anymore, especially in the position that he's in now. You know what I mean? Like he's not grinding away at developing games. Nintendo's saying, "Hey, can you fly over here to go oversee something at the theme park at Universal?" He's literally seeing his creations and his dreams come to life.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's working on the movies. He's doing different things that I think these are all things that he really enjoys.
Yeah.
And I would presume that his family understands this too. I would think that he's had discussions already with
Yeah.
his family as far as like what his plans are when it comes to Nintendo and how long he wants to stay. I'm sure Nintendo knows as well. So,
I'm glad you mentioned the theme park in the Mario movie. I live in California. So when Super Nintendo World opened up, I went as soon as I could go. And going through that warp pipe and like stepping into the park and seeing the animatronics and hearing the music and the coin sounds going off in the background and seeing Toad walking by and stuff, like I got like goosebumps. I got hit with so many feels because I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a childhood dream come to life. Like I would have never imagined anything like this as a kid. But for someone like Miyamoto, where it's like, Mario's his baby, this is where everything exploded. You could only imagine how much that means to him and like how special of a project that he got to oversee and be alive for is incredible. I do get scared when I think about him stepping away, and I'm sure whoever becomes like the new Miyamoto at Nintendo, his successor, whoever, if they let him kind of appoint like this is the new me, I'm sure he'll pick wise, just like he did with who's taking over Zelda. But that being said, I think about how we lost Iwata and then we lost Reggie Fils-Aimé, and how much changed after that. Not saying Nintendo's going to completely change, but when I think of like, a face of a company and I think of Reggie Fils-Aimé, like, dude, there's no one like him. No one from Sony, no one from who's ever been the face of Microsoft. I forget who the big one was before Spencer. It was like Major Nelson or I forget who is one of the faces for Microsoft.
What was
Reggie
it? Peter something?
Maybe it was Peter something. It's been a while.
The guy who had the Grand Theft Auto tattoo on his arm?
Yes.
Peter Main? Peter Main, was it?
Yes, I think that's right.
He used to work for Nintendo.
There's never been like kind of like a spokesperson president like Reggie, who had so much charisma and style, and when he said stuff, he said it in a way. And they're doing directs with puppets and fighting the two presidents, fighting Smash Brothers style, and Mega 64 doing the toys and the claymation, that stuff went away. And those are very special memories, but that was such an Iwata thing. And Miyamoto, like when the man steps on stage, like any event, you think of like old E3s, just that like glow of a personality, that light that radiates from him. He always has a huge smile on his face. I remember him coming out with like the Master Sword and the Hylian shield. That was famous photos of him like cheering and stuff with the sword and shield. Or when he came out with the Buster Cannon for the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and Davide starts like tearing up seeing Miyamoto wearing the blaster and stuff. Like, just so many special moments where you like this man, he's such a unique, irreplaceable person who just has so much love and passion for Nintendo and for us gamers. So it like, the shoes could not be bigger to fill, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And here's the thing. One thing I've seen with Nintendo for years, right, is they're very good internally when it comes to seamless transitions. And I'm not talking about like console transitions. Okay. I'm talking about on an employee level. They do such a great job at training their employees. And then if you look at Nintendo's retention, their employee retention is insane. I believe it's 98%. People literally work there for decades.
Yeah.
Like when you get hired at Nintendo, that's what you do for the rest of your life. If you want to. Like if you want to work there the rest of your life and you're passionate about it, there's a very good chance you will. Unless you mess it up for yourself. You're not going to get laid off. Nintendo's not going to lay you off. They don't do that. So I feel like the future is in extremely good hands. I truly do. So I'm not worried about it from that aspect that like, oh, who's going to be the next Miyamoto? I don't know that it has to be anybody. I don't know. I almost look from a sports level. We're never going to have another Michael Jordan. Jordan's the GOAT. In my opinion, he's the GOAT. We're never going to have another one. And so I can't expect another basketball player to come and be another Jordan. Mike's Mike. Kobe's Kobe. We're not going to get another Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like, the league can try to give us another Tom Brady. The NBA could try to give us someone who can, carry the baton for Jordan. They've tried to do it with LeBron. But, he's his own player. They're all their own players, right? And I just don't know that they're going to have to really anoint someone to be the next Miyamoto, because I really believe that collectively we have that. We have the spirit of it. Like, when Miyamoto passes away one day, his DNA is forever embedded in Nintendo.
Yeah.
Just like Iwata. And when you talk about Reggie, those are such special times, right? I so looked forward to all of the E3s back then, and just to kind of see like Reggie's stage presence. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the antics, like you said, the Mega 64 stuff. That was
the
so
Jim
good.
Henson Nintendo 61, Nintendo 62, and he's doing the push-ups.
Yes,
then Miyamoto's coughing up feathers and stuff. Oh
dude,
my
it was
god, it was
so
so good.
good. But Reggie has a really special charisma, right?
Totally.
And I don't know if we're ever gonna get that again. What it reminds me of, and I'm gonna give like an old reference and see if anybody also in chat remembers this. But growing up as a kid on like ABC, they would have the like Sunday night or the Saturday night Disney movie. It would be like a premiere sometimes of them showing a movie on ABC that has never been on TV before. And they would have an intro with I believe he was the chairman of Disney, Michael Eisner. And this guy like had charisma and screen presence that you really looked forward to seeing him in the intro. Like he's introducing the movie to you. Yeah, Art Vandelay said in chat it was Sunday night. Yeah, it was a Sunday night movie. Good old Art Vandelay. What does Art Vandelay do again?
Architecture.
That's right, architecture. Yeah,
Yeah.
love Art Vandelay, man. But
Or exporting and importing.
yeah, that's right. And what was the other one? A marine biologist.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he said wonderful world of Disney. So if anyone doesn't know, like you can go on YouTube and look up like old 1980s Disney movie intros like on TV. And I swear to God, like you don't have to have nostalgia for it, but if you watch it and then you see the intro with Eisner, it's really cool. Like it's special, and you can probably draw direct comparisons to kind of what we went through with Reggie.
Right.
It was just a special moment, and when they were on screen, you paid attention.
Yep.
You know, it was a lot of fun. So I don't think we're ever going to get that, and it's too bad because Doug Bowser, he could really capitalize with that name.
Yeah,
he really could.
He seems like a cool dude. He seems
He
super
does.
nice and stuff. He just doesn't have that charisma and like I don't know if like star quality is the right word, but Reggie had that. You know what I mean? But Eric, I want to hear your thoughts. We're going to talk about Eiji Aonuma and Zelda as well.
Yeah.
But I want to get your thoughts on Miyamoto.
I mean,
before we.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, is Nintendo what it is without him? It's hard to say yes. I mean, it really is. I mean, he created basically the mascot of what Nintendo is now, and you know how many of the main characters that we in game franchises that we know and we love. I mean, it's going to be a tough, big shoes to fill when he does retire, and it's going to suck. But I mean, you know, I just want to. It'd be nice to see. You know, we haven't had, to me, really a big, brand new series or game or character in quite a while. It feels like, you know, it'd just be interesting to see kind of what is the next Mario, what is the next Zelda, what is the next Metroid, what is the next. I know Metroid's not, you know, Miyamoto, but you know, what is that next major character that we get for Nintendo? So that's kind of where my brain is going, is what is the new thoughts that we can get into here. Not saying that the old thoughts are bad, because again, Nintendo I don't think would be where it is without him. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, I would love to see Miyamoto in his final days. I want to make a Miyazaki comparison. I know not everyone in chat is probably like an anime fan, but I'd love to see him kind of pull a Miyazaki and do like the one last thing, and before he leaves, drop like his last brand new IP that's like a total passion project. This idea he's had for 20, 30, 40 years that he never made or something like that. And just pulls like a Miyazaki and surprises us all and gives us the best farewell gift ever. I think that would be so cool, but obviously I'm not going to cross my fingers or I'm not gonna hope for, count on something like that. Real quick before we move on to Eiji Aonuma, I want to ask you guys, and I'll be doing the same at the end of the Eiji Aonuma discussion. Favorite Mario game?
Favorite Mario game?
Yeah, favorite Mario game.
That is
You
a
have to pick one.
bold question.
Yeah. I'll let you pick a 2D and a 3D if it
Okay.
makes it easier.
That does. Thank you.
Just to
appreciate that.
honor the creator.
Okay, I'm gonna go with, for 3D, Super Mario 64, because it literally changed the game. And Miyamoto was all over the creation and development of Mario 64, along with the Nintendo 64 controller. His blueprint is all over that. And then for 2D, God, this is always just such a hard question because it comes down to two of them. But I still got to go Super Mario Brothers 3. Super Mario World is right there, but I got to go Mario 3.
Very nice. Alyssa, what about you?
I'm gonna go with Mario Odyssey, just because when I
There
played
you
that,
go.
I was cracked out on it. All I did was eat and sleep. I didn't leave my bed. I lived with my parents at that time, so I just sat in my bed, my TV there, just played Mario Odyssey. I only left for those two things, and that was it. You can, like, 18 hours straight, just Mario Odyssey. But
Yeah.
Awesome.
and then for 2D, I'm gonna go with Wonder, just because I haven't really like played too many of the side scroller ones, but I do really like how Wonder like switched it up and gave you all those different crazy effects. It made it feel like
Yeah.
fresh, like
Yeah,
totally
no.
wacky.
I
out there.
I think those are both fantastic picks. Mario Odyssey is an amazing game. New Donk City is one of my favorite worlds
Yeah.
in a Mario game. I love all the nostalgia in New Donk City, and when you get to the huge parade event in that world, it's so cool. Wonder's another one. I was so happy they stepped away from the new Super Mario Bros. Style that I think was getting a little bit tired and uninventive. Mario Wonder shakes it up a bit, has kind of a little bit more stylized Mario with a little bit more expressive that I think
Yeah.
really adds to it. Eric, what about you?
Mario 64, and that is my favorite Mario game, period. So
Period.
I don't even have to
There
go
you
to
go. There you go. Iconic, legendary title, changed the landscape for 3D platformers. I'm gonna say both. My favorite Mario game of all time is Super Mario World. I've said it on here to nauseum. So if you guys are getting sick of it, get ready to hear it more. But for 3D, I'm gonna say Mario Odyssey 2. Mario Galaxy 2. Apologies, I just confused everyone in chat. Mario Galaxy 2. Mario Galaxy was like the coolest thing I could have ever imagined for a 3D platformer from Mario. And then I was like, oh, it doesn't get any better than this. Like, they can't top this 3D platformer. This is, this game is out of this world. And they went ahead and did it with a sequel, and the sequel's even better, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm gonna go with those two. But now let's jump over to the other man, the other myth, and the other legend. My favorite developer at Nintendo, the developer of my favorite series of all time, and I'm guessing I'm not alone in that here. Don't ask me why, but Eiji Aonuma, he took over for Miyamoto after Ocarina of Time. His first Zelda that he directed was Majora's Mask, and he made it in record time. This game was super special. I've got my big Majora's Mask behind me. This game, to me, yes, it used a lot of the same assets, but the vision that this man had for this game was so ahead of its time, with a complex time mechanic, fast forward time, rewind time, slow time, speed up time, go back a day, go back to the beginning of the 3 days, jump forward to the end, with the complex schedules that all the NPCs were on. He did something remarkable that had never been done in the series before in such a short window, and since then has gone on to be like, what if the series had a new art style and like brand new core mechanics every time we introduce a new game. So many cool ideas that have become staples for the series. And you know, it's the series I hold most dear to my heart. Obviously, he has put together an unbelievable team. And the evidence of that is seen in his work on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, two incredibly ambitious games. And I wait with delight and wonder to see what's coming next for the series and their vision for Zelda. But my question for you is, of the Eiji Aonuma era Zelda games, or maybe even before then and his era, you know, what does his involvement in the series mean for you? You know, pre Aonuma, post Aonuma, and uh lastly, I'd like everyone, like they did before with Miyamoto, to throw in your favorite Zelda game of all time. Your more specifically, I'd like to hear actually your favorite Aonuma Zelda game, since he kind of took the reins. You want to go first, Stash?
No, you know what? I'd like to hand that off to Alyssa. I want to hear what Alyssa's got. I mean, Zelda's in her name, Skyward
her
Sword
name.
Alyssa. So I think you should lead us off here.
Okay, let's have Alyssa lead us off. By the way, is that that Ocarina of Time link in the background? I don't have my glasses on,
Oh, yeah,
so it's a little bit
here,
blurry.
this one.
Is that a cutout or is it a statue?
It is. I have a story. I can make it short. I make a quick story. So it's a promotion for the 3DS when it came out on 3DS. And I was driving with my parents. I don't remember where we were. We were at some kind of strip mall. We drove behind a GameStop, and this was laying like by the dumpster. And you can't see it on this side, like you see Ganondorf over here, but Zelda's on the other side. And I said to my dad, I'm like, I swear to God, I'm like, I saw Princess Zelda laying over there. And he stops the car. He's like, all right, well, go out, go look. So I run over there, and my face, I'm like, bring the car back. So I put it in the car. I'm only 5 foot, but like as tall as I am.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
I love it.
Thank you.
That looks awesome.
Thank you. Well, Aonuma's babies, Zelda babies, have impacted me so much. Zelda's like everywhere you go in my house, there's something Zelda. You can't look one way and there's not something Zelda there. Just for whatever reason, all of the games that he makes, like the Zelda games, just get so immersed in them, and you get really like involved with the characters. You really feel like you're part of the world, if that makes sense. Like I know some people in Twilight Princess, they don't really like the whole beginning with like the ranch and stuff, but I feel like that was that was necessary for like a story and like a character growth, because it gives Link like a background. Like he's not just this guy that's got to go on this adventure and save the world. It's like he's just a sweet little ranch boy, and his friends just got taken away, and he's gonna be like, yo, where the hell are my friends at? So
and you said earlier, Twilight Princess was your first Zelda, right? Because when you played it on the Wii when that came out.
Yeah. I watched my dad play Ocarina of Time, and I like played around a little bit, but I was only 4. But like, yeah, Twilight Princess was the first game that I actually played.
That you dove into.
Yeah.
That's a cool game to start with. That was the one that introduced like fighting on horse with your sword, swinging and shooting your bow on horse. To me, that moment in that game when you, I forget her name. Apologies. When she gets kidnapped.
Aaliyah.
Yes,
Aaliyah.
and you chase after her on horseback, and you're fighting on horseback. That was the moment in that game where I'm like, okay, yeah, they're taking it to the next level now, fighting on horseback. But yeah, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure I remembered correctly that that's where you started, because that's a cool place to start.
Yeah, it's also the only Zelda game that's rated T.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting. I know we were looking through the launch lineups and stuff. I was thinking like, could the next Zelda game be T? And then I was like, I don't know. I feel like they really got like a really big audience with the 3D ones. They probably want to keep it like E for like everybody kind of blanket it, but I don't even really know like why I would want them to make it anything other than that. But yeah, just I don't know. Just the visions that they come up with. Like I know they were inspired from like Peter Pan for Ocarina of Time. Well, this was Miyamoto, right? With Ocarina of
Yeah.
Time. So, but
Did-
with Majora's Mask, wasn't he like on like a time schedule and he was having like nightmares and stuff of like the Deku scrubs and Aonuma was like put it in the
Yeah,
game
he had a
and
nightmare.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
that's like nuts to me that you
They
know, the-
still haven't matched the dark themes of Majora's Mask because that game is pretty tragic and like the whole
yeah.
game, just like the whole game feeling like a death march. Even when I think of Breath of the Wild, you know, it's like the calamity is coming, it's going to
Mhm.
destroy everything. You don't really feel the
Yeah.
death march. You know, it's very serene and beautiful, and the
Tranquil.
sounds of the forest. Yeah, tranquil. That's a perfect
Yeah.
word for it. Whereas Majora's Mask, they do the coolest thing with music in that game. Whereas
So
each
creepy,
day
yeah.
passes, the music changes ever so slightly, and then when you get to those final 12 hours, it's like full on stress inducing, and you're feeling the pain and the doom and the sorrow. But did you ever get a chance to, you started with Twilight Princess, did
Mhm.
you ever get a chance to go back and play through Ocarina of Time and like
Oh,
on
yeah.
the DS or
I played
Nice.
the GameCube version of Ocarina of Time, and I also played the GameCube version of Majora's Mask as well.
Nice.
As far as like the 3D Zeldas, I've played all of them. The top-down ones, the only ones I haven't played are the original and the second one, I believe.
Mm,
I believe those are the only games I haven't played.
okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I'm guessing Twilight Princess, that's your favorite Aonuma.
yeah. Yeah,
That's
Tears
awesome.
of the Kingdom, like it was my favorite. Like I had a bit of recency bias with Tears of the Kingdom. They're still kind of like button heads because I really did enjoy Tears of the Kingdom a lot.
Very cool.
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in here and give you my thoughts on Mr. Aonuma. So, as far as my favorite game, you know, he was the director on Ocarina of Time.
Oh, was he? I
Yeah.
thought he was. Oh, that's right. You're right. I got it mixed up. I thought he produced Ocarina and then directed
Okay.
Majora's.
Yeah. No,
You're right, actually.
so he was the director and he also did dungeon design as well. So he pulled double duty, and you know you can tell because like the dungeons Ocarina of Time are amazing in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, yeah, I have my favorite 2D Zelda and I have my favorite 3D, and it hasn't changed in a long time. It's still a Link to the Past. And it's still Ocarina of Time. So no doubt that's my favorite from Mr. Aonuma. I would say probably my second, though, if we're not using that one, would be probably Twilight Princess. I really love that game. I do really enjoy it. As you mentioned, yeah, the intro, a lot of people get bogged down by the intro. I guess they just, you know, they just want to jump right into the adventure. But I do think it does a good job of kind of setting the foundation for the story.
Right. Absolutely.
And then after you get past that, I mean, it's full on nonstop anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, when else are you going to do this? So I do really like that aspect of the game. And I did revisit it recently just to test out Twilight Princess with 4K assets on my PC.
Mhm.
And so I did go through the intro again, like within the last 1 to 2 months. And it wasn't bad. It really wasn't. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
got to know what you're doing, where you're going. You get through it. It's not as bad as I think a lot of people make it out to be. You know, as far as you know, what's going to happen when he retires, right? Again, just like with any of the elder statesmen at Nintendo, they've done such a great job training their staff. that I feel very confident, and you can literally look at Miyamoto to Aonuma as an example. Was that not seamless or what?
Yeah.
It's like nothing changed. Like
Yeah, it was like nothing happened.
you would never know nothing happened because it doesn't feel like the direction as a whole changed. Yeah, we got different Zelda games, and each game's gonna have a different direction, but the spirit of it, the DNA of it, all feels like it's fully intact and like nothing ever changed in that aspect. So again, I feel really confident. I feel confident in the way Nintendo interviews and hires their employees. There's just, I don't know if I see any cracks in the foundation when at Nintendo, and I think there's good reason for me to say that with their 98% retention rate, with
Yeah.
being one of the highest rated companies in Japan consistently every year. Nothing negative ever comes out of Nintendo. Yeah, we can talk about stick drift. Everyone's dealing with that. My PS5 controller's got stick drift. Gamebird, you know all about stick drift. You started a company that fixes stick drift.
Yeah, it's
So,
called Stick Fix.
Yeah.
And if you haven't heard of it, go check out my channel. 1-800 Stick Fix. I swear to you, it will fix your sticks.
yeah, I got to send my PS. You work on PlayStation controllers also?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I got to send in one of my controllers after we finish beating, what do you call it? The new
Split Fiction.
Split Fiction. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm playing it too.
Yeah, it's great. We're on chapter
It's so
3.
fun.
Send it in. They'll fix it. They make it. They even send you a temporary controller to use while you're waiting for your stick fix.
I didn't
But
know
yeah,
that.
just a great company. They'll take care of you. They'll take care of your sticks. I had a broken stick that I found outside. They fixed it.
Really?
It wasn't even my stick.
Like from a
Like,
tree
that's
or
the
something?
craziest part. Yeah, from a tree.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
So it's all sticks can be
Yeah.
fixed. I had
Any
no
stick.
idea.
Nice.
Okay.
Even if it looks like a stick.
Wow, I'm gonna have to look and see if there's anything else I can get fixed then.
1-800.
Yeah. It could save your marriage. Prime, welcome back. We were talking about, I don't know if you want to chime in on this topic or if you want to keep moving forward, but we were just talking about Miyamoto, the godfather of gaming, all the things that made him so special, what he means to us as Nintendo fans, special memories of him, what he's done for Nintendo, and how we'll be remembered, as well as, what does Nintendo look like without him? I made a joke when we were discussing it, how I picture Miyamoto being the guy that even after retirement is randomly walking into the office, all old and decrepit till his final days. And they're just like, dude, Miyamoto, what are you doing here, man? You're retired. Go home. Thoughts on Miyamoto, what he means to you? What do you think it's like moving forward? I think we all agree he's irreplaceable, and the shoes to fill are insurmountable in size. But thoughts?
Okay, so first off, Miyamoto's a legend. Mad respect. He means a lot to my childhood, a lot to even as an adult. Just it's hard to describe what he's meant to me as a gamer and even as a person with some of the quote. I mean, we had a quote in the prior topic about adults and being a kid, and I have so much respect for his outlook on life, his outlook on video games, his outlook on the company, how in every situation he always seems to approach everything with such kindness. Obviously, I don't know what that's like when he's flipping the tea tables and all that. That might not be so kind, but that's fine, because that's all part of him trying to make sure that the best possible product gets made. And look, Nintendo's obviously set up well for whenever he walks off into the sunset. I kind of get this feeling he's a lifer. He might just be there till the day he dies. I don't know.
That's what I said.
But obviously he doesn't do a lot of game development anymore. Is not that hardly involved. He does do advice and has a position where he overlooks some stuff, but for the most part, he hasn't been directing games and producing games himself in a long time. So Nintendo's kind of already replaced that aspect, and now he's being entrusted to get their movie stuff going. And that's obviously gone really well with the Mario movie. We'll see with the Zelda one. We'll see with the next Mario movie if that continues to go well. But obviously, I'm assuming in him doing this, there's also somebody probably shadowing him at Nintendo that's kind of learning like what he's looking for the movies. And all. Because I mean, look, Mario and Zelda makes sense. That's what they're doing. Those are his babies. He made them.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a movie franchise, you're going to make sure that he's still there to have that input. You know, it's just like, you know, you wouldn't do Game of Thrones without the input of George R.R. Martin, right? You're not going to do the Harry Potter stuff without the input of J.K. Rowling. So, like, you're not going to make a Mario or Zelda without the input of the guy who created the damn thing. But obviously, you know, these are forever franchises, all the ones I just talked about pretty much at this point. So someday those people aren't going to be around to do that. So you have to have people learning from them on how to keep this stuff going. You know, I could get into Star Wars for a second, but I'll pass up on that because we're just focused on Nintendo. But point is, because like that's a little weird one with anyways. But when we get into like Miyamoto, I again, you know, I think he's going to be a lifer till the day he dies. I think it's just the way he is. I pretty much think at this point he's got carte blanche to do whatever the hell he feels like doing.
Yeah.
Work as much or as little as he wants. I know he travels a lot right now for his work. I'm sure someday that'll slow down because, you know, his body, he'll realize I just can't keep traveling so much. But no, Miyamoto is, I mean, it's not just him. You know, we have all these other legends as well. And they're all going to move on someday.
Yeah.
You know, Aonuma's, I think Aonuma will move on from Zelda someday. This might be, I've been of mind that this is his last generation of Zelda ever. I think, I don't know I don't know that he's going to retire, but I think he's going to get promoted and into a new role at Nintendo. Probably still doing something with games, but you know, more of the Miyamoto role is what I think he might get promoted to, and then he might actually get to oversee other games or have other ideas and input on other aspects of Nintendo. And I think that's because Fujibayashi, I think, has been getting trained up to kind of take over Zelda. And it's just whenever Aonuma decides that it's time, because Aonuma is going to be like 69 or 70 at the end of this generation.
No, yeah, at the end of the generation. Yeah.
So, I you know, he's already talked about how he'd like to make something besides Zelda, and he's already been more and more hands off with Zelda and trying to let directors do their thing. He's still there. He's still flipping tea tables and making key decisions. But as, like Fujibayashi's like, hey man, I already had like when they were interviewing for Tears of the Kingdom, he's like, Fujibayashi's like, yeah, I've already got ideas for the next Zelda. I just haven't ran it by him yet. And Aonuma's like, wait, what? like Aonuma's like, yeah, Fujibayashi just automatically assumes I'm running the next Zelda game. It's my ideas. I'm doing what I want. I haven't even told this guy anything yet. Yeah. So like, you know, that's how they've been setting it up, where he's let more and more hands off so he can eventually get promoted. And Aonuma, I don't know if he'll be quite the lifer that Miyamoto is, but I know that he wants to do a little bit more than what he's doing with Zelda. So, and this is true of like everyone, that the Tezuka and all the rest, like they're all in their 60s and 70s. Yeah. You know, some are in their late 50s. They might go into one more generation, because Nintendo's got that incredible, as was brought up, like 98% retention rate. Like these people are going to be there till the end for the most part. It's pretty rare to see someone leave Nintendo, especially from their Japanese outlets. So even Koji Kondo. What a legend.
Legend.
What a legend. Like, and so a lot of people go, oh, Zelda. I'm like, dude, go look at his credits. He's in fucking everything at Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like that guy, then the incredible composes.
He's a mad genius.
He is.
And he might be composing music till the day he dies too. I don't know, but I already know he's in more of a supervisory role over their general music production at Nintendo right now. So I think it's just a lot of those. This is probably the last generation where we have all of them there. I think a bunch of them will either be retired or, you know, we don't want to talk about it. It could pass away by the time we get to the next generation. And then the next generation after this will be the first generation. We don't have all these legends anymore. And that's going to be, I think for us fans, it'll feel different. But I think the core of what Nintendo is as a company is pretty intact. I don't think I think at this point, with or without these people, that Nintendo would be okay. They're very good at training people up to understand the essence of what Mario is and what Zelda is and what Nintendo is as a company. You can see it even the way like Furukawa is a fairly young CEO, and the way that he talks every time he's interviewed. You could tell that like, yeah, he came from accounting. He's a numbers guy. He might have a different way of thinking. He's obviously different than Iwata, who is very personality forward. But even he's sitting there like, the way he talks about Nintendo and the way he talks about their games, even though he's never made one himself, very much, hey, that's consistent with what Nintendo's been saying about games for 40 years. So he gets it. He grew up in it. He learned. So that's what I feel like the rest of Nintendo's like. So as sad as it's going to be when these people retire or sadly pass away, and pass away, because that's probably gonna. I hope I outlive some of these people. I am only in my 30s. Right? It'd be really sad if I die before someone in their 70s. But I do think that that enjoy, for those of us that grew up with this. I think for people who grew up with Switch, it may not be as big of a deal because these aren't as big a household names to them. Because again, they're not that heavily involved. Aonuma is still the face of Zelda, so that could be true for the Zelda stuff, maybe. But I think for those of us that have been here pretty much from the beginning, enjoy this generation. These faces of Nintendo that we're seeing. When we see what was it, Takahashi or Tezuka or whatever, when they're presenting the Switch 2 hardware on April 2nd, enjoy. Could be the last time.
Yeah. And we've been lucky enough, like you said, a lot of us have been there since the beginning, watching their babies evolve, watching where Mario started, where Mario is today, watching where Zelda started, where Zelda is today. Nate, I want to ask you one extra bonus that I had everyone do, and then Eric, I want to get your last piece on Aonuma and Zelda, because we didn't get to chat about that. I asked everyone if they could give us your favorite Mario game in recognition of Miyamoto, and then your favorite Aonuma era Zelda, which I think I know what yours is, and I'm sure a lot of the chat does, but just as a way to acknowledge them and the experiences that they gave us.
Very interesting question, because my favorite Mario is Mario Odyssey, but I don't think of that as a Miyamoto Mario.
Sure.
When I think of Miyamoto Mario's, I think it really just I go back to a lot of the old classics, but it's got to be Mario 64. Just that transition to 3D and just how amazingly they brought that game forward and became the face of 3D platforming. Just utterly amazing. So that's like my favorite Miyamoto Mario. We talk about the Aonuma Zelda era. Obviously, you go, oh, it's Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, yeah, but I kind of give a lot of credit to the Fujibayashi.
Sure.
I feel like for Aonuma, it really goes back to the game that got him the gig, Majora's Mask. Oh, baby. That is his baby. Him and God, I'm forgetting the name of the other guy. The two guys that had spearheaded that program. Like that was his trial. They went to Miyamoto with this idea for a game, and they said, you got 1 year. And in 1 year, they created a masterpiece.
I was literally raving about Majora's Mask and how ahead of its time, just the time mechanics, fast forward, rewind, slow, back a day, forward a day, back 3 days, and then the time cycle on the N64, NPCs being on a time cycle and the side quests. Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Nate.
Yeah, so that is the one that whenever I think about Numa, I go, man, Majora's Mask. And yes, obviously Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, big ones for him as well. Some of the handheld ones as well. But it's just that Majora's Mask. It always bounces around in my top 5 games for Zelda. And man, I mean, it predates so much that Zelda has done with side quests and stuff since day-night cycles and everything. I so love that game so much.
Yep.
So when I think about Numa, that's like the coup de grace for me. And it's funny because, he's had more successful games, but it's just but that was him. He was the director. He was direct. It was his idea. That's incredible. It's not like, the modern Zeldas where It's really Fujibayashi's ideas with Aonuma keeping everything on the keeping everything together, making sure this is a Zelda game. But yeah. Anyways, that's where I stand with that. Eric, what is it that you wanted to get in here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
I
want
mean,
to say that.
I haven't played a whole lot of Zelda, so I mean, but I do know Aonuma's name just because growing up with Nate and things like that, and I do know how big of an impact that he's had with Nintendo, with Zelda, things like that. So yeah, I mean, we may have him around for another system, but you never know. So it'll be interesting to see what the future brings for Nintendo with a lot of these big names getting up there in age.
Also, favorite Aonuma moment, E3 2014, snaps and the Breath of the Wild overworld pops on the screen. Oh my God. Aonuma. Oh my God. I had to change my pants in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that moment. The snap and boom, there's this giant world of Hyrule. Oh my God. I'll never forget that. All right. Are we ready to move on?
I think so.
Let's move on. You guys all did really well. I'm proud of each and every one of you
Thanks,
today.
Dad. Thanks,
Thank
Dad.
Love you guys.